Good afternoon from the Alton Towers Resorts. I just wanted to film a video today talking about some plans that Alton Towers submitted last week for an indoor attraction building down in X Sector. Now, of course, X Sector is home to two signature roller coasters, the Smiler and Oblivion, and in the past has been home to flat rides as well. You had Submission that closed back in 2013 now, so quite a long time. But yeah, there was two flat ride spots down at the bottom. You also had Enterprise, and that closed in 2021. So yeah, since 2021, that whole bottom area of X Sector has felt pretty redundant. It's been used for a couple of temporary things since. Of course, after COVID, we had the installation of the Retro Squad, which was some temporary rides, just to add some more capacity, some outdoor capacity into the park, which was certainly needed whilst there was restrictions on indoor space. So yeah, and we saw them stay for a few years. So down at the bottom of X Sector, that was used for part of the Retro Squad rides. And also, over the past couple of years, we've had some food units down there as well, just temporary trucks that have been parked up with some seating. But that area hasn't felt the same really since 2013, you know, because X Sector then you just had the Smiler that opened, you still had Submission operating, Enterprise, and of course Oblivion. So there was 4 rides down in X Sector, and it used to have a real great vibe down there with so much movement, lots going on. As much as Submission and Enterprise weren't massive attractions, I'm always talking on the channel about the importance of filler rides and how they make all the difference at a theme park when you've got filler attractions. It's like down in Forbidden Valley with Toxicator that was installed last year, fantastic Huss top spin, and yeah, they really made a full kind of package out of that. Unfortunately, the fountains aren't working now, they've had to turn them off, but still, you know, it was a package, it was a great installation, but most importantly, it was adding capacity to that area. So yeah, we did see one of the Retro Squad rides replaced with a permanent flat ride there, and I think a lot of us were hoping that over the past couple of years, we were going to see more plans go in for more flat rides down in X Sector. So that's why I've got to say I'm a little bit surprised and shocked that where they're going to build this building, because this new attractions building is going to be located where them 2 flat rides were. But they're not kind of just putting it in the place of one in the corner. You could have just put it where Submission was, more off to the left, or more where Enterprise was off to the right, and still left room there, you know, planning for the future for another flat ride. They've actually made the decision to put it slap bang right in the middle of that bottom section of X Sector, which I feel like could be a decision what's going to come and bite them in the future, because I don't really think they've thought long term about this. Now, of course, let's talk about the indoor attractions building. They've said it's going to have an industrial feel, obviously like a lot of the buildings do at Alton Towers, because of the themes of the park. Yeah, an industrial feel that would fit, of course, with the rest of X Sector. Oblivion especially has got quite an industrial feel, as much as at the time in 1998 it was designed to feel a bit more futuristic. It has got that industrial style station and queue line buildings, and the Smiler to some extent as well. It's certainly not a heavily themed ride. Yes, you've got the Marmalizer, which is awesome, but again, the station and everything is just grey, it's quite concrete and bland. So this building's basically going to fit with the other buildings down in X Sector. Now, in terms of what we could be seeing this used for, the most likely scenario here is that this is a new attractions building for Alton Towers Scarefest. Now, the Scare Maze have been in various different locations over the years. Of course, we had them in the Towers ruins, there's been tents that have been put up, they've used old arcades and things before. So yeah, Alton Towers over the years, since Skyfest started in 2007, have put Scare Mazes in lots of different locations. And over the past 2 years, we have had 2 new Scare Mazes at the event. Of course, we started off with Compound that was built on the pathway between Gloomy Wood and Forbidden Valley. That went in a new building. It's basically made up of shipping containers and a tent in the middle, but still it's a permanent structure that Alton Towers put in there, and they did a good job with it. So they did the same for Scarefest last year and put another one in for the Scare Maze, of course, Edge of the Forest, which is located just on the pathway behind the towers and Dark Forest, that kind of overflow pathway. They put in the building there, again the same, shipping containers and also a tent structure as well. Now, the intention is to take the mazes out of the towers, and that's why we've seen the mazes go into these buildings over the past couple of years. You've still had 1 maze left in the towers last year. Will it still be at Scarefest this year? Who knows? But Altonville Mine Tours was the last remaining Scare Maze inside the towers. The reasoning for taking them out of the towers, I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's more due to the heritage, and also as well, I do know for a fact that quite a lot of damage was done to the towers by some of the teams building these scare mazes. So I think maybe if English Heritage got involved or something, I'm not too sure, but still the maze have got to come out of the towers, and yeah, it does seem like that is going to continue with another new maze building down in X sector. So we'll come back onto that in a second with themes and that sort of thing that I'm expecting for this. But there is also a chance this could be for something else. Now, they haven't gone out and said it's a scare maze building, they've just said it's a walk-through attractions building. So obviously I'm thinking scare maze, definitely. The timing as well, it's the middle of May, you know, Scarefest coming up September into October. They've got time to start this in the next couple of months and have it ready for later in the year. So timing for me, I'm pretty much 90% sure this is going to be a scare maze, but there is a chance it could be some sort of other walk-through attraction. Who knows? That would be nice, wouldn't it? Something that can actually add capacity to the area in the future. But yeah, I do think this is going to be a scare maze. Of course, there is the chance that this maze could open throughout the year as well. We could be seeing them do a bit of a, you know, Soar Alive down at Thorpe Park, how that was open in the season. In the past, Alton Towers have actually ran a maze throughout the season before. So yeah, it's certainly possible that we could be seeing that, but it's definitely looking likely that it's going to be a Scarefest attractions building. Now, before we come on to the themes and everything, I just want to say I'm quite surprised on the location of this. Why haven't they really thought about the future? Because surely at some point they're going to want to put some flat rides down there in X sector, or at least one. By putting this building here, in my opinion, is a bit of a big mistake, because you've got to take that building down to put flat rides in, unless they've been clever and thought about the size of this building, and potentially in a few years' time they could put a flat ride in that building if they wanted to. We don't really know the exact details yet for this building, but it is a decent size. So, you know, possibly could we see them put a flat ride in there if they change their mind on what they want to use it for in the future. Who knows? It's doubtful, but it's certainly possible. Now, the plans do show where this is going to go, right there in the middle. They're going to actually be using some of the old Enterprise queue line, which has still been in place since 2021. It was also used during the Retro Squad times. So yeah, you've already got that queue that exists, and adding a little bit more in as well, straight across the Enterprise site. So yeah, I find that quite an interesting one, really, how they're using that as well. It looks like it's going to have quite a bit of queue line. So, you know, that's quite another interesting point to make with this one about what it could be used for. But again, I'm 90% sure this will be a Scarefest maze. What I'm really surprised on, though, is, like I say, why they've put it there when there was other options. The first one, and the most logical one, is somewhere where they've put a scare maze before, and that would be in the games bunker. It used to be known as Goal Striker, but that's this building here just by the lake. Yeah, I'm really surprised that they didn't think, let's just put it in there. But then also, you couldn't leave something set up in there because it's an arcade throughout the rest of the year, and the arcades are run by a company called HB Leisure. I'm sure they've got some sort of contract in place for the amount of arcades and buildings they've got for games in the park, so maybe there was issues there, but in the past that has been used for mazes. We've seen the Carnival of Screams in there, the circus theme maze previously, and other attractions as well. So yeah, I'm surprised maybe they didn't go for that, and it would have been the cheaper option. They wouldn't have needed to build a new building for it, even if they'd have just, you know, installed the maze every year and removed it again like they always used to. Another option, which I thought would be more logical, instead of, you know, spending the money on this at the bottom and potentially ruining an expansion plot for flat rides, is using this building. Yeah, this is the arcade at the exit to Oblivion. Now, this is a massive building. It's actually bigger than the one they're putting in for the maze, so space wouldn't be an issue. And all they need to do is clear out the arcade and put the maze in there. Now, again, it all comes down to contracts with HB, but I'm sure, you know, for a few months of the year, it's still on Alton Towers property. If they wanted to come up with a deal and do something, I'm sure they would be able to use that spot, and that would have made a more logical sense, in my opinion. You've got more space than you will have in the new building, and also as well, you'd be saving money because you haven't got to build the new building. And the best one is you're still saving that space for flat rides and not making a potential mistake by putting the building there and kind of, you know, messing up their future plans, if you like, you know, if they have got future plans at this point, who knows. Now, what they could also do there is Oblivion used to have a proper exit shop, if you remember that. You come off the ride, there was an exit shop. What they could do is move these boards that are still there now. It's just storage behind there. Clear that out, move the arcade where it is now and have a smaller arcade where Oblivion's photos is and that whole area. Keep the photo booth, but make that a small arcade. Exit you there, and then you could have freed up the rest of that massive arcade for this new attractions, what they want to put in, this new potential scare maze down in X sector. So there you go, that's my kind of thoughts on the location of it. Yeah, I am very, very surprised that they want to put it there. I really am, especially, you know, with all the, you know, the room that's going to be taken up right there in the middle. But still, it's an interesting one. Let me know your thoughts. I would have personally gone for putting it at the top of X sector. It would have still been in the area. They've got a purpose-built building there with some good height to it as well, and you'd have saved the cost and not messed up a future flat ride or potential 2 flat ride location, unless that is the plan. You know, it's got me thinking this one this week. Is that the plan, that, you know, in a few years they'll put a ride inside that? Who knows? In terms of a theme for this, I'm really hoping we see it themed to X sector. Of course, in the past we've had the Sanctuary, which was a brilliant scare maze, all based around the Smiler. It came out before the Smiler to help promote it as well, with like Dr. Callman and everything like that. I'd love to see a return of the Sanctuary or a new version of it. That maze was located in the Towers at the time, but it seems like, you know, they want to theme mazes based on the areas. Compound, based of course on Forbidden Valley. Edge of the Forest, Dark Forest. So it's only right that X sector gets its moment again and does have a scare maze theme to it. So my overall take on this, excited that we could be seeing like effectively a new version of the Sanctuary, a new maze themed on X sector. Maybe, yeah, the Lord of Darkness and the Oblivion story could come into it as well. But yeah, I'm disappointed in the location, mainly because I really think they haven't thought about this. It should have gone either in one side or the other, or gone into a completely different location, still close to X sector, or even the best one would have been in the arcade at the top, just by the chicken restaurant. It would have been absolutely brilliant in there, in my opinion. Let me know your thoughts though down below in the comments. It's certainly got a lot of people thinking this one, but who knows, there could be more to it. I guess we'll find out when building work starts on this one soon. That leaves me with one final thing to say: get out there and keep on riding. See you in the next video.